If walking away costs you access, if it costs you opportunities, if it costs you relationships, it's not a loss. That is protection. Welcome to Mojo Co, the podcast for unapologetic midlife women who are done playing small, done guessing, and done fighting their body instead of understanding it. I'm your host, Katie Fleece, and this podcast is for women who are ready to get their mojo back, their confidence, their power, and the connection to their body back. We talk hormones, confidence, body image, relationships, and real life with zero filters and absolutely no BS. Nothing is off limits here. If you're ready to feel powerful in your body again and remember who the heck you are, you're exactly where you belong. Let's go. Okay, so I need to tell you about a moment that actually happened not too long ago that genuinely made me go, ew. Like it gave me the ick. You know what I'm saying? We were actually on vacation with some friends of ours, and someone texted the husband, our friend, and in this message, they brought up my name. And the gist of it basically was, that I had walked away from something big, like this, and this. And the reason was because, and I quote, because she felt disrespected. Now, they basically said it like it was the most ridiculous thing that they had ever heard of in their life. And I just sat there thinking, hold the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, I cannot imagine being the person that thinks that's an insult. I cannot imagine being more offended by a woman leaving than whatever actually made her leave in the first place. Like, oh my gosh, the audacity. You know what I'm saying? What a weirdo. Truly, what a freaking weirdo. But here's the thing, and this is why this is exactly what we're talking about today, because that comment represents a belief system that a lot of women have drilled into themselves for a very, very long time. The belief that your value is measured by how much you can swallow. Okay, well, hang on. First of all, that actually came out way wrong. Maybe, oh my gosh, maybe a better term. What I meant to say was tolerate. Tolerate is the right word. How much you can tolerate. And let me just say this. Women work harder. We carry a lot. We carry more. We're always thinking like 12 steps ahead of everyone. Meanwhile, also managing outcomes, emotions, logistics, other people's feelings, making sure everything else is taken care of, and producing results that make everyone else look good, right? And somehow, we are still expected to do all of that while tolerating disrespect with a smile. Here's the double standard that actually just absolutely makes me feral, okay? A man can set a boundary and he's decisive. A woman sets the same boundary and she's emotional. A man can walk away from something that doesn't serve him anymore, doesn't sit right with him, and he's strategic. A woman can do that same thing, and all of a sudden, she's dramatic. A man asks for what he's worth, and he's confident. A woman does it, and she's labeled difficult. So what's the actual rule here? Like the actual unspoken rule is this. Your professionalism is measured by how much disrespect you can endure without flinching. And the second you stop playing by that rule, you're no longer praised. You become the problem. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you stopped being convenient. Wow. Let that land. But I also want to talk about this idea of peace, right? Because I think we've been sold a fake version of what peace actually is. Peace that requires you to abandon yourself is not peace, my friend. That could look like staying quiet in a meeting when something is clearly off because speaking up would make the room uncomfortable. It could look like being told to let it go when something crosses a line. It could look like putting a smile on and kissing ass when you really just don't align with something. That is not peace. That is shrinking. But here's what happens when you stop doing those things. You get clearer. You stop twisting yourself into versions that fit rooms or narratives that aren't aligned with you. You stop negotiating your own values. And when you stop tolerating and you start listening to your gut, to your intuition, you become unavailable for disrespect. That is not ego. That is growth. Now, let me rewind because I kind of got off track there. Let me rewind back to that vacation moment. It was the belief behind the comment. You can have 1,000 reasons to walk away from something. A list a mile long, documentation, a full-on PowerPoint presentation. But hear me loud and clear. Even if the only reason you walked away from something was because you felt disrespected, guess what? That is enough. All right, quick pause to talk about my company, Mojo Co, because this deserves a moment. Mojo Co was built for midlife women who feel off in their body and are just tired of being told to eat less, move more, and deal with it, all right? Women battling hormones, belly fat that comes out of nowhere, low energy, mood swings, and the constant feeling of, why do I not feel like myself anymore? Now look, this is not a basic fitness program, and it is definitely not built by gym bros or 20-year-old influencers. Mojo Co was built for women, by women, designed specifically for this phase of life. Inside, we don't guess, we don't punish your body, and we don't hand you another plan that you gotta figure out on your own. We look at the full picture: hormones, metabolism, stress, lifestyle, everything that you need, all under one roof. Because you are never too old to get your mojo back. I can assure you that. And you also need support from someone that actually understands the female body at this stage of life. So if you're ready to feel strong, sexy, clear-headed, and confident again in your body, and you're done with all of the free or cheap BS out there and you want a forever solution, you can apply by clicking the link in the show notes. All right, now let's get back to it. Let me say it again in case you didn't hear me the first time. That is enough. That is not weak. That is a complete and legitimate reason. And you do not owe anyone a longer explanation than that. The belief that women should just endure disrespect as long as the outcome benefits everyone else. Hard pass. No thanks. I'm not modeling that. I'm not teaching that. I am not living that. What would that be teaching my children? I have 2 teenagers, and they are watching how I move through the world. And that actually matters to me more than any room that I'll ever be in. So I remember actually telling them, I said, listen, one day you're going to be in situations that I'm not going to be, a part of. I can't prepare you for. And I need you to know a few things before you get there. You never need permission to walk away from something that makes you feel small. You don't owe your peace to anyone when your stomach drops, when something doesn't feel right, when it feels off. That's your compass. Trust it before you trust the room. And then I said, if walking away costs you access, if it costs you opportunities, if it costs you relationships, it's not a loss. That is protection. I don't know about you, but I don't want to raise kids who win at life, but also lose themselves along the way. I want to raise humans who know their worth before the world tells them what it is. Here's the other piece that I want to leave with you too. Because I know some of you are sitting here or walking or driving, whatever you're doing, but you're sitting here thinking like, whoa, she is talking to me. I am experiencing this. Here's the thing. You don't need to over-explain. And when you stop over-explaining, people panic. When you stop shrinking, the people who benefited from your smallness, all of a sudden, they feel threatened. And you know what? They may try to rewrite the story. You're difficult. You weren't that big of a deal anyway. You're the problem. They may treat you like a peon, okay? Okay, cool, whatever. But that backlash right there is proof that you changed the rules and you made the right decision. So, before I end this episode, just a few things I want you to take away. Number one, trust your body before you trust the room. If something feels off, it usually is. You don't need proof to honor your instinct. Number two, stop over-explaining. Stop over-explaining. You don't owe a justification for your standards. Confidence sounds like a period. Boom, done, end of story. Move on, okay? Number three, detach from being liked. Liked is temporary. Being liked is conditional. Being liked is what you get when you make everyone else feel comfortable. Respected is what you get or what you keep when you stop all that other BS, okay? And lastly, number four, let discomfort exist, especially when it's not yours. You're allowed to choose your peace, even if it disappoints. You are allowed to say no more explaining, no more tolerating, no more, making your standards and yourself smaller so someone else can stay comfortable. You absolutely can become harder to disrespect. And that queen right there, that is not a problem. That is a superpower. Let that sink in. All right. That's all I've got for you today. All right. If this one hit close to home, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. And I will talk to you next week. See you then.